Welcome to the Earth Your Wild podcast, brought to you by Reuserbox, providing a better way to buy cardboard boxes. We're your hosts, Jack and Ellie.
This is the podcast where we talk to industry experts and change makers to try to answer the question, how do we make our businesses better for people and the planet? So today we're talking to Jake Xu, co-founder of Shakeup Cosmetics. Shakeup Cosmetics exists to enhance men's self-being through self-care with solution-driven face care products specifically designed to meet the unique needs of men's skin, empowering them to look and feel their best. Shakeup Cosmetics is also B Corp certified, demonstrating their commitment to social well-being and sustainability. Thanks for joining us today, Jake.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Jake, for those who don't know, what's happening in the world of men's cosmetics at the moment, and how are Shakeup Cosmetics a part of that?
Good question. Lots are happening in this category, actually. I think the last couple of years, certainly, we're seeing lots more activities, brands coming into this space. It has been a bit of a blue ocean in a way, in comparison to the saturated women's market for quite some time. And recently, we were actually one of the first brands that really kind of trying to come into this category and shake it up, and all puns intended here. But I think in the recent couple of years that we're seeing more activities and more brands coming in. Particularly very noticeable that last time that we were at the trade show in Bologna, which is the Cosmoprop, which is the world's largest beauty trade show, that almost every buyer, that distributor that we spoke to, they're all looking for something different, and a lot of them specifically looking in the men's area. And I feel like that is the one area that is still being a bit of a virgin territory for a lot of retailers. And there's a lot of stale brands in there, and not much innovation and excitement going on. So a lot more attention has been paid into this category recently.
It's quite a kind of a new thing, right? Men's cosmetics.
Yeah, so I mean, men's cosmetics has been quite new, and the men's skincare obviously has been around for some time. However, the innovation and the pace of creativity just not there in comparison to the rest of the beauty industry. So if you think about the men's aisle in your supermarket or local Boots or Superdrug, apart from Bulldog, L'Oreal Men Expert, and Nivea, can you think of many other brands other than these three? Probably going to take you some time.
No. I get the L'Oreal one, but I was just saying to Eleanor, it's been discontinued recently, so
yeah,
my
so
skin's like sandpaper.
It's all right, we'll switch you out. Don't worry. I think that is just basically that sums up the whole state of the whole landscape when it comes to men's beauty, men's cosmetics. It's just been very neglected and very lack of innovation, lack of excitement. Whereas women's category, that you get the new trends, new brands, new ingredients, and all of that sort of popping up all the time. So for men looking for a quality premium product, you either settle for grocery brands or mass, or you have to shell out lots of money to get the Kiehl's or Chanel or Lab series. There's really nothing between, and it has been the case for many years. And let's face it, the category is always in your local pharmacy is always in the darkest corner of the store. No one sort of ventured down that aisle with the light flickering above and cobweb over. It's that kind of when you think of the men's aisle, it's always kind of in that area of the store. So we just kind of like got fed up with that, and there's more and more men like ourselves who wants to look after our skin, create a bit of a self-care routine, starting with the skincare. And the lack of choice was just it just could not be ignored anymore. So we thought we're going to do something about that ourselves.
Okay, so you guys are trying to kind of fill that gap and try and give people better quality, better range.
Yes.
Kind of products.
Yeah. So our products, the ethos is that they always do what they say they would do, and they're formulated bespoke by our chemists and manufactured by four largest UK-based manufacturers. We do stick to the ethos that we get our products made for us and created for men. and quality control is one of the biggest thing that we put a lot of focus on. For example, the first product we launched, the tinted moisturizer, it went through 26 rounds of submissions before we even finally signed it off. The chemists wanted to kill us because obviously we're making their life so much more difficult, but we just could not sell it until that we were 100% satisfied with the product. And then we price it at this kind of like a prestige, affordable category. It's not going to cost you an arm and leg to moisturize one. So I think that's the kind of ethos that we set our brand positioning at.
Perfect. So is it right that you started the business with your twin brother? Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's co-founded by me and my twin brother. Yeah.
What's it like working with a sibling? Because we're siblings. So
I feel your pain.
how do you find it?
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Nah, actually, of course, it's very. I think we share the same sentiment. But to be honest with you, prior to this business, that we co-set up our first business, which was a marketing agency. That was back in 2006. So we ran that for about 12 years before we moved on to this business. So we have had some training over working together, navigating that sort of sibling rivalry, as well as working with your brother. But I think on the whole, it's an enjoyable experience. There's definitely more ups and downs and more pros than cons. And for us, because we're twins, so I think it's slightly different when you're twins than when you are sort of siblings with a few years gap in between you. I think you have more in common when you're twins. You're more on the same wavelength more often than not. And so that is very efficient for both of us because we usually think the same. We usually have the same kind of opinion. So less argument, less disagreement, and that helps. Another one that I'm guessing that you guys will share is that finding a business partner or co-founder is very, very difficult, and finding one that you can completely trust is even more rare. Now, having your twin working with you together, I can be 100% sure, 1,000% sure that he would never stab me in the back, and he feels the same. So that's a lot of the guesswork and a lot of the mind game taken out of the equation. So you can just focus on growing the business. You both have each other's best interests at heart, and you both have the best interests of the business at heart. So I think that really helps in terms of working with your sibling.
Yeah, I think for me it's been a bit of a superpower having my sister create a business with me, but like a really annoying superpower.
Oh, don't get me wrong. We get arguments as well, and we don't hold back. None of that sort of courtesy that we reserve for other people for our team, and none of that pleasantry, and none of that is because that is just inefficient for us. We just tell each other however we feel, and we don't hold back. And actually, to our team, that we're actually quite harsh to each other, but that's just how we speak to each other. I don't know whether you guys feel the same.
Basically, exactly the same. I think what it is it's not that. It's kind of I think it's often quite hard in a business, especially when it gets a bit bigger and then new people join, to make sure that you're surrounded by people that are happy to kind of call you out on your shit, basically. And I think I think Ellen is really good at that. That's why it's annoying, but it's actually a good thing, right? Because
well, I think you care more, don't you, when it's more than just a job. And that can be a bad thing in some ways, but it's also a bit of a double-edged sword, I think. But totally.
Good. So you said that you guys founded the marketing agency first, and you ran that for kind of 12 years. So I guess you kind of cut your teeth on building a company. But where did the inspiration come to set up Shakeup Cosmetics to kind of fill that gap that you found?
Yeah, like many other brands, that it just sort of came from a personal needs, right? I mean, I think for us, being Asian ourselves, we had a bit of more education in terms of skincare compared to our Western counterpart for some reason, and I think it's just kind of like more drilled into the Asian culture to look after your skin, and from a younger age. But for us, when we were in our teenager years, that we did have lots of skin issues. We both suffer from rosacea, which is a skin condition that you would have the red flare-ups or maybe skin texture thickening, and one thing about rosacea is that there's no cure, and you have to find your triggers and try to control that trigger, whether that's food or weather or anything. Just try to avoid that in order to keep your flare-ups and those kind of bad skin days at bay. So we had those, and then obviously going through hormones and pimples and breakouts and things like that. So really kind of impacted our confidence. And for the reason I was saying earlier, having moved to the UK in our teen when we were teenagers, we struggled to find quality men's skincare products to help us maintain our skincare routine, and that frustration just carried on for years. And so that frustration has always been there. We wanted to create something that for ourselves, for guys who are just like ourselves, and friends around us, in our circle, a lot of guys do suffer from that. And when you have skin conditions, you do have this kind of like self-consciousness, and you do feel self-conscious, you do feel, insecure about that. And for guys, in order to get help, going to store, talking to the counter staff behind the counter and makeup counter in Boots is quite a big hurdle. For a lot of guys, that is, they're quite shy about that. They don't want to ask those questions. So there's really not much education and resources available to guys. And at the same time, we're suffering quietly and try to dabble. So we're trying to resolve that issue. Now, the marketing agency really did help us in terms of understanding the fundamental of running this business, right? We created a really successful boutique agency. And in fact, predominantly we're serving beauty clients. So that agency, our day in, day out clients were Boots, so the brands under their management, such as Number 7 Cosmetics, Sleek Makeup, Soap and Glory. And then we started working with Dermalogica, Burt's Bees, Molton Brown. So they're all like, beauty, wellness, skincare brands that we're working with. So we saw how we can actually create value and help others by helping these brands. So combine all of that together, we thought actually maybe we do have what we need in order to create something to help ourselves and other guys who are just like ourselves. So that seed was sown back in running the agency, and in 2018, that's when we started to act on it and started to formulate the products. And by late 2019, we launched the products nationwide.
I suppose over that kind of however long it was, like 10-15 year period, I suppose the cosmetics and skincare industry probably really kind of exploded, and probably I kind of feel like with like social media as well, probably really just. So I suppose you kind of saw that and then saw the gap and filled it.
Absolutely. Yeah, during that time, that's really is the boom of the indie brands, right? With social media, and that people can actually create brand and with their own passion, their own angle. You're not relying on the conglomerate to deliver those products anymore. There's definitely a lot more indie brands, and nowadays even more so, that you can launch a brand, put some Facebook ads, and then you're off you go. So they definitely encouraged a lot more new brands, new thinking, innovations, creativity coming to this space for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I actually have rosacea myself, so I feel your pain. I feel like I'm still bouncing around between products and I can't quite find things that work.
If only you had a women's
maybe you should
range.
Also introduce a women's range. Yeah.
You know what? I mean, feel free to try our products. I'll send you guys some as well to try, because we do have a percentage of our customers are women, and this is the interesting thing. Yeah, this is the interesting thing, right? Because look, straight guys were gay guys, and actually even straight guys. How many of them behind closed doors have actually asked their wife or girlfriends, "What have you got in that makeup bag? I've got this spot. Can you do something about that?" That happens on a daily basis. And guys have been stealing women's products for years now. And we're thinking that we can create something that's so amazing that actually would turn the table a little bit, and actually women will start liking to like to use it as well. And moreover on that topic is that actually women don't need that much persuasion, because they have had the training and education when it comes to skincare. If they know some products work, they will have no problem trying it for themselves. Whereas guys need that further education, convincing, and that it takes a bit more effort to educate them, to bring them into the conversation. Whereas women are very receptive to trying new things. Our tinted moisturizer is particularly developed for the rosacea skin, and that's the first product we launched. And was a bit of a personal bias because that is the product I needed the most. And it's the lightweight, not heavy, and a matte finish, natural finish with SPF, and that really worked well in terms of covering my redness on my skin. So I'll send you some, Eddie, for you
Oh, yeah.
for you to try.
Amazing. Thank you.
Nice. I'll get in on
Yeah.
that as well if you
I
offer.
mean, do you think are you helping to kind of address these negative stereotypes? Because I think with men, there's this kind of ongoing joke that, you know, maybe like you might go around to your boyfriend's house and they just have like a bottle of fairy washing up liquid in the bathroom, and that's what they use for everything.
Look at me.
And-
I don't do that.
I was
Look at
gonna
you.
say, yeah, Jack, I hope you don't do that.
But you know, like, do you think it's changing? Do you think men are starting to, like, you know, be better at self-care?
We're definitely seeing that shift for sure, and that is really encouraging to see as well, because you know, the social zeitgeist is really helping with that as well. You know, thanks to the pop culture such as I mean, Towie, those kind of shows like that, that really kind of push that forward. Made in Chelsea, for example, and you start seeing guys taking better care of themselves, and you know, tanning, teeth, hair growth, those things are all part of it, right? And it's all part of that. So we're definitely seeing that. And in our research, it's not like guys that don't want to look after themselves. And there's just two key factors that I have to go over. One is the lack of education, lack of choices, and lack of information. And that itself kind of determined that actually what this is what it is. You know, you suffer, you deal with it. Whereas women's always had the choice of covering the blemishes in order to feel better. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how these products make you feel inside. It really is not just skin deep. It's not just about covering a blemish or spot. It's about your confidence when you feel and look your best. So that's first thing. Second thing is what you mentioned about the stereotype and stigma. And I think that hasn't gone away completely, sadly, which is funny to us because obviously, you know, makeup was actually invented for men to wear to start with, you know, back in Egyptian times.
Didn't know
And
that.
yeah, and it's so
Wow.
same for high heels, you know, like, you know,
Yeah.
those high heels were actually invented for guys, and then sort of, you know, somehow it's kind of categorized as a women only type of products or choices, options. So we don't get why it's such a big issue, and you know, why does using cosmetics or using skincare all of a sudden infringe onto your masculinity. You know, we believe that masculinity comes in so many different shapes or forms, and it is so much less fragile than people think. You know, so much stronger than just, you know, being so the foundations is so much more solid. And you know, you won't break that just by using a cream every now and then to use the skincare or to hydrate your skin. So that those are the two things. And unfortunately, the stigma is slowly going away. And I think, you know, the younger generations, the Gen Z, with that kind of like new take on gender fluidity. And in fact, I believe that actually I'm not Gen Z anymore, but I believe that for them that being like that is no longer considered cool. I mean, you know, you're supposed to accept everyone the way they are. And I hope that is going to gradually, slowly come into a mass sort of attitude and really kind of permeate into other generations to make the whole society more tolerant and more acceptable to whatever choices that you want to make. If guys wants to use the products to make themselves feel better, what's wrong with that? I think that has to be the case going forward.
Yeah, and also I think it's kind of like opening up new markets. Like what's, you know, like great people like you can come and build a whole life and a company and a team and a culture around it as well. So kind of think it goes kind of both ways. Do you think like people are becoming a lot more image conscious then? Do you think do you think that's because like social media, or what's that?
I think all of it. Social media definitely had a huge part to play. You know, not that I'm supportive of that, but it is what it is. It is what the new world looks like. So we have to basically work with it and help people in this, you know, since you can't get away from that easily, then what can you do in order to make yourself feel better or to balance that out, right? So I think, yeah, the social media and the Instagram age and, you know, all of this kind of like a unattainable ideal that's been portrayed by these unsustainable, unrealistic ideology that people are living up to. In the meantime, the Zoom over the COVID, you probably never look at yourself for that long before. Prior to that, you look in the mirror, and that's probably the only time that you look at yourself. But now on Zoom, you're looking at yourself so much longer, so much more, and you start noticing your insecurities and things like that. And also, I think, interestingly, in the UK, for example, our demographic are actually slightly older. They're about 32, 35 plus. And we call our key demographic customer Matt. And Matt is our customer profile. And he's got to this phase in life that we call it shit gets real phase of life, where, you get to this point. They probably have a young family, a baby to look after, deprived of sleep because of that. And they have a mortgage now to pay, aging parents to look after, their career needs to go somewhere. And all of a sudden, all of this pressure, life, adulting gets to really, really real, and they feel the pressure on them. And then they wake up in the morning and see some lines on their face, around their eyes, and then the white hair is picking out. That is the point where thinking, okay, well, I need to stop smoking, stop drinking, go to the gym more often, look after myself, eat healthily, and skincare and self-care is very much off that, because they feel they have now a huge responsibility to look after themselves as well as their family. This is the kind of phase life that they hit, and that's when people really start to look into that kind of skincare routine. I think that's the kind of customer that we are actually really kind of resonating in the UK, in the West.
And when it comes to like anti-aging cream, like does it actually help stop you aging? I'm just finding out for my own personal gain.
Yeah, I'm wondering what is your
not that I have any
skincare-
wrinkles yet.
What is your skincare routine, Jack? Do you actually have a skincare routine?
Well, I used to buy this L'Oreal stuff, and they discontinued it, so I've not been using anything for like a month.
You just use the washing up liquid in your bathroom?
No, no, bar of Dove, actually.
Soap, right?
Yeah.
I knew it.
That's better than washing up liquid.
But I get it. I think it's great that basically you're helping people feel better about themselves at a time when people are probably feeling worse about themselves at any point in history.
Particularly because I think men, struggle to talk, and obviously there's a mental health crisis. It's is it something like suicide is the biggest killer of men under 35, and I think anything that can help men address that, whether that's self-care, embracing things that don't seem manly perhaps, but
we're all part of that bigger picture. We're all part of that bigger self-care category, and I think the mental health is a huge thing, and so it should be, and I think it's already too late for us to start talking about it now more often. I think you should always have been receiving the kind of attention that we're giving it now. And you're right, suicide is actually the biggest killer for men under 35, and that's just shocking, right? And I'm not saying that all of them are suffering from skin issues, but that's one part of it, and that's one way that you can make someone feel better about themselves. And don't get me wrong, that actually, if by using our products or using any kind of skincare products doesn't make you feel comfortable, then don't. We're here to provide that choice. Yes, you should look after your skin. That is your largest organ, by the way. Why wouldn't you look after it? We are championing looking after your skin, come what may. But if that doesn't make you feel good, if you feel uncomfortable doing that, and then don't do it. Do it for yourself. It's the same as for women. Not all women should wear makeup. You do that for yourselves. Don't do it for anyone else. So I think that's the kind of ethos we're trying to promote. So we're not here for everyone. We're here for those who actually need us. And actually, we're more than happy to, not to be liked by 80% in order to get to that 20% that can help. I think that's more than fine for us. And back to your question earlier about anti-aging. Look, our skin starts to age around 25. Like when we're 25, the skin starts to go downhill, basically. So it's always it's always better to prevent aging than to reverse the damage afterwards. So that's where kind of champion that you got, to start having a really healthy skincare routine at younger age to delay that aging process. But if your skin's ready, if you are kind of trying to reverse the damage, and there are things that you can help in order to repair the skin texture, for example, and to help with that look. But I think, one thing that we don't do is over promising things. I mean, there's no magic potion that can just take, 30 years off of your skin and permanently. I mean, unless you go for Botox or a surgery. But what we're trying to promote is actually a healthy skincare routine and start as early as you can.
And does it, like your product, for example, is it, because sometimes I wonder, is it healthy for, not your product, but just in general, like moisturizer stuff, is it healthier for your skin, or is it just that you're kind of covering up the blemishes?
Absolutely. I mean, it is all about the skin health. It's about the
Yeah.
skincare. Even for our tinted moisturizer, which is actually sort of in the makeup range, it is a really good skincare product first. So that's our ethos, is that we do have a skincare first mindset with our product development. What that means is that even if you take the tinted moisturizer as an example, um, in there we have got hyaluronic acid, which helps with the hydration. We have got vitamin E, we've got antioxidant, SPF built in. We know how important it is with sunscreen every day. So if you take the color pigments away, it's already a really good moisturizer. It's also tested to provide 24-hour moisturization around the clock. So you keep your skin hydrated throughout the day. Hydrated skin is healthy skin. You got to keep that hydration in there, in your skin. So we do always focus more on the skin health than before we're adding any kind of like a instant gratification that you get from cosmetic features. And to your question, you absolutely do need to rehydrate your skin. And because, there's a lot of environmental uh, uh, pollutant, for example, dehydration, for example, and sun rays and UV rays, they're all damaging to your skin. That's the reason why the skin on your bum is probably smoother than the one on your face, right? I mean, let's face it. So I think there is that there is that need for you to look after your skin, whether that's from cleansing point of view to unclogging your pores and also moisturizing and rehydrate. All of that things are necessary.
I did wonder. So, just going back to like your story a bit. So, when you guys came to the UK, did you go to university, or did you just like jump straight in and set up your first business and then move on to this?
So we came to study. So what
Okay.
really sort of attracted us to come to the UK was the higher education. And at the time that we had never, been to Europe before, and by chance that we saw a picture of the Royal Crescent in Bath, and that's where we're based. And we're just this is before Downton Abbey days, by the way, and but we had that kind of same reaction, as you would now. That is, oh my God, the grandeur of Georgian buildings. That's exactly how we envisage England to look like. We saw that building and immediately we were hooked. So we thought, okay, let's go there and see what we can make of it. And this is the thing, we're so fearless at the time. You don't think about the consequences. You never think, okay, well, what if it doesn't work out? It's going to cost this much. And, if you can't stay, or are you going to stay? Are you going to come back? And like, how about finding a job and you don't know anyone there? None of that was an issue. As you grow older, you have more to lose. So you are so timid of making every decision. You weigh out the pros and cons and stuff like that. Not to say that the fearlessness is the right attitude, but I think there has to be a balance. Sometimes when you overthink it, you think of all of the worries before you step into a decision, then you probably will never make that decision because you're going to be put off by all those challenges.
Hmm.
Back then, we're 17 and there was nothing to lose, and we just thought, okay, let's just do it and let's just go for it. So we applied to study here, and we came over, and 6 months turned to a year turned to 10 years, and now 25 years on, we're still in Bath.
Do you think that kind of helped you? The fact that you had to come over to the UK, that was kind of like getting you used to coming out of your comfort zone, and then in university, and then setting up a business. Do you think it was that kind of? Do you think that's why you're here today, basically, kind of where you're at?
I think so, actually. I think that's the thing. So once you have actually done those kind of like, made those big decisions in life, especially earlier on in life, okay, well, that was a big gamble, but you paid off, and they sort of encourage you to do more and to challenge yourself more. I do feel that. And because you're so used to breaking the mold and actually sort of proven the impossible, because those kind of things were just it's just ludicrous, for other people. And why how can you just suddenly having this idea to move to the UK? And you can, and you prove to other people that you can, and then afterwards you prove to other people that you can get a job, you can set up a company. After the one company, you can set up a second company. You can actually do things that you didn't do well in the first business and just continue to challenge yourself. I do feel like that definitely has something to do with it. Yeah, that background definitely has something to do with it.
Like built up that kind of mentality on your head that inside your head that you're capable of doing these things and sort of going higher and higher effectively.
Yeah, yes and no. I think you guys probably also share this as well. I think we're all kind of driven by that insecurity at the end of the day, that you're trying to prove to yourself more than anything else that you can do this. I think there is always that imposter syndrome that's kind of hidden behind your, at the back of your mind. It's not, I mean, I don't know about you guys or any other business people, entrepreneurs, that for us, actually, there's always that imposter syndrome. You're trying to prove to yourself that you can overcome this challenge. You can do this. But deep down, they always have that, doubt in a way that you're never 100% confident. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm going to do that. I mean, that's never that I wouldn't say that is the norm. That is the case. So you have those experience in your previous years to back you up, to give you the confidence to really push. But I think at the end of the day, we are trying to combat that insecurity that's deep rooted in us. I feel like there somewhere in my childhood is probably some damage that I need to probably revisit and sort out to get deeper to sort that out. But I think it's a bit of a balance. I think both factors are at play here.
It's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of the people that kind of listen to our podcast, a lot of them are kind of more kind of like change makers, I guess, especially in kind of like the environmental sector. So either they're kind of working for an organization, or they're kind of setting one up, or they're trying to scale one. So I'm just keen, I guess I was kind of wondering kind of what it was like from your perspective, and if you could give anybody listening any advice, what would that be?
Not sure I'm actually qualified enough to give advice, but I think my advice is actually sort of given to me by our mentors or our investors, is that just stay focused and stay in your lane, not to compare to other people, because there are always going to be people that are faster, better, and bigger than you are. And I think just to stay focused on what you are doing, and compare to yourself, today compared to yesterday, compared to the week before. If you're making that progress and you are exactly where you are supposed to be on your timeline, and all of the other things are just noise, that they're distractions. So and that stay true to your lane applies to so many areas. That's including your business plan, your focus, your personal development, as well as your products, your brand. Don't try to please everyone, or get deviated or distracted. Just stay focused, and then never take anything too personally. Never get beaten down, because obviously every day it is about challenge solving. Every day is problem solving. I don't like it when I go to a network event that other people hide their problems and trying to only highlight their successes, because that make other people, the person who's asking the question, feel inadequate. We all have challenges, just at different scale. And every day, 90% of it is shit. 10% is probably what people talk about on LinkedIn most of the time. We all have challenges. And I'd like to talk about that, so that other people feel like they're not alone in their business journey. And then I think that is the biggest takeaway, I suppose, from our mentor, from people that I do admire. And if there's one advice I could give, I think that's probably the most helpful one.
Yeah, I think comparing yourself to others is the fastest route to unhappiness, really, isn't it?
I think that's when you get stressed, right? I think.
Which is every day, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, every day is just fire to fight and problem to solve, and a lot of that is that. But then that's how you make progress, right?
Yeah.
And I think my business idol, Marcia Kilgore, who is actually the founder of Soap and Glory, and then FitFlop, and now Beauty Pie. I've never met her myself, in person myself, but I'd love to one day. And she said something that that every day is a good day, and even on the failure day you learn something. On a good day you celebrate. I know it's easier said than done. It is easier said than done when you're actually in the thick of it, and it's really hard to get yourself out of that. But you just separate it, and then keep an arm's length, protect yourself, and then look at it from like outside in, and all of a sudden things are just seems to be like more manageable in a way. So I think, yeah. So but then challenge nonetheless. I mean, the challenge it is challenging, especially for the last 4 years. My God, I don't know what else could happen really in the world. I mean, you've got the COVID, you've got Brexit, you've got war at our doorstep, and you just before you think that anything, nothing else could actually go wrong, you've got a barge that's kind of stuck in a canal in Egypt somewhere and holding up all your stock. So if you can actually survive the last 4 years, and then the only way is up, I'd say.
Yeah, you can survive anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we talk about B Corp?
Yeah. So Shakeup Cosmetics is also B Corp certified. What does that mean to you? Why did you decide to go down that road?
Oh, it's a huge deal. The B Corp certification is something that we're aspired to have, since earlier on in our business journey. We knew how difficult and challenging it could be. We also knew that the high criteria and requirements that you will have on the business. So when we had our head of R&D, Anna, who is just absolutely amazing, and she basically took this on as a challenge, as a project. And our team believed in the business. They think that we deserve to have that because of our ethos are aligned. So they started that process. The overall process to me is actually seems quite painless, only because she shouldered a lot of that with the rest of the team. So having a really good team is hugely beneficial. And it is a huge badge of honor. And it's what I like about it is it's not just a single point about your sustainability pledge, or your pledge to do better with your environmental friendliness or anything else. And it's all encompassing. It's including how you treat your staff, how you treat the environment, how you're everything. So I think it is the ultimate, to me, a recognition for a well-run business. So when we had that, I think it took us 10 months to get that. And actually, according to a lot of other brands, actually, that was quite quick. And then thanks to our team's efficiency. But we really did go through so much details through that process. A lot of things that we learned a lot, and actually a lot of the things that we did to improve through the whole process as well. Not to say that we had every single box ticked, but actually the whole process, if we didn't get it, it was a really worthwhile exercise, because it helped us tighten our ship. And but in order to get that at the end, it was just cherry on the cake.
Well, yeah. So Reuse Box are also B Corp certified. So we're both part of what is it, like 2,000 businesses that probably have like the highest social and environmental standards, globally. And I think the kind of the catchphrase I always hear is it's like business as a force for good, right? And I think I
love that.
I think and I think that kind of trying to shift the kind of the dynamic within the company to kind of focus on that filter of business as a force for good. I think what it did for us, I'm keen to hear your perspective, but it kind of helped us build a better company, one that runs better, one that treats people better. And ultimately that kind of usually means that we engage with customers better, we make more money, we have better fun doing it.
Absolutely. I share that 100%. And also I like the fact that actually it's not the destination, you have it for life. You have to carry on proving yourself that you deserve that badge. I actually quite like that, because it shouldn't be a destination. Actually, in fact, there's a lot of things that we can still improve on. For example, environmental friendliness in terms of our packaging and things like that. Our ethos is that you should always do the best that you can within your ability now. It's not really about getting to a destination now that is unattainable. And if you can't get there, then don't even bother. That would be worse. Like, do what you can now. If that means there's 30% PCR that you can afford in your packaging, do that first. And then upgrade when you actually find a better packaging that provides even better option within your affordability, and then transition when you can. Those are the things that we should be doing more of. And I think actually sort of B Corp encourages to do that, just to do better at the time, and do your best at the time, and then do better over time. So I think that's quite a good way to approach it.
Yeah, I think for us it kind of helped almost put a bit of a framework in, so it kind of helped it make it more achievable in a way. Helps you kind of break it down.
I think the best businesses are constantly innovating, and it just helps put you in that mindset, doesn't it?
Totally,
to continuously do that.
Yeah, and you mentioned sorry,
that's okay.
You mentioned packaging earlier. I was actually going to bring this up because when I think about cosmetics and skincare and stuff, I always think about these kind of over-engineered little plastic containers which normally have about this much product in them, which kind of get empty straight away, and then you're kind of not sure what to do. Like, can you recycle it? Is it recyclable? Do you have to clean it?
How do you clean it?
Yeah, like how? Because obviously, as more of a innovator within your sector, within the cosmetic sector, like how do you guys try and address that?
It is a struggle, I'm not gonna lie, because the most environmentally friendly or innovative packaging options and textures or material are still currently, they still come with a premium. And actually it's so wrong and messed up in a way, but it is what it is at the moment. That you try to be the best in terms of sustainability, but actually those things cost so much more and they're prohibitively expensive for you to use or utilize. And there's also what doesn't help is that there's a lot of greenwashing going on at the same time, right? The consumers can't quite tell what is real, what is not, and someone is such claiming that, someone else claiming the other. Yes, glass is better for the environment than plastic, but then when you take that into account, shipping, because they're so much heavier, and it probably costs more CO2 on the way over here. Like, how do you have to dig so much deeper? There's so many different facets when it comes to this debate. That's what I think the best thing that the brand can do is to do your best now. What can you afford without having to pass that cost on to the consumers? And if that means that you can actually only do 30% recycled plastic in your existing packaging and then do more of that, can you do refillable? Can you actually use packaging that doesn't have like so many different intricate parts that you can't recycle? Can you go for something else, different options? And without compromising on the user experience, without compromising on the stability of the products, the interaction between the bulk and the packaging. So I think, when you're doing your best within your ability and then constantly look at the way to improve, that has to be the way going forward. And in the meantime, that's why we don't really, on our packaging or in our marketing, we don't really talk too much about those efforts that we're making because we know they're not good enough yet. Like, you're not there yet. So it is more of the things that you do as a brand. It's not for recognition in a way. It's not for other people for you to shout about or to gloat about, because until you actually get to that final destination that you're actually completely done it now, that you're like, otherwise you're on your journey. There's nothing to shout about. I mean, you're just focusing on doing your best there. So yeah, it is still very challenging until those kind of material becomes affordable. It will be very difficult, certainly for indie brands to adopt those kind of material to make it more friendly.
Yeah, I always think it's annoying when if I buy like the moisturizer I used to buy in the shop, if I buy it, it would be like a little plastic tub in a box, and like you have to buy that in a box, and the moment I get it, I have to throw the box away. I always kind of think, why the hell is it in a box? Surely if you didn't have it in a box, you'd save money because you wouldn't be buying boxes to put your tubs in.
Yeah, I mean, there are different reasons. I mean, we try not to use cartons whenever that we can, but
Yeah.
for some of the, like, for example, like the example you give, like the moisturizer, especially in the tub, unless you put a seal on it and that's further plastic and packaging, that there's contamination you need to think about. And also in transport, you want to protect the product itself, the integrity of the product, the packaging, all of that comes into play. And also furthermore, that actually the regulation in Europe and the UK requires certain information to be printed on pack.
Right.
And then multi-language, for example, you have the barcode, and now you need to have a QR code, and you need to have the responsible person, ingredient, all of that. You can't really put, there's limited space on the tub as well. So there's a lot of reasons. So that's what I'm saying, that within the constraint that you were working with, what's the best option? So for us, for example, the cotton, can we use all FSC certified cardboard? And then that's what we're using now. So within the constraint, if you can do without the cotton, then do without. But if you have to use it, at least use FSC certified cardboard. And then, those are the things that you can actually tweak in order to make it, better. It's not ideal. And I don't think any brand is at that point that can actually sort of, to the ideal yet, but you do what you can. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. So your skincare is also, is it vegan friendly and cruelty free? Was that something that was also really important to your brand?
It is. I think it's almost kind of like a given now in Europe that I think, there's just no need for the animal testing on some of these products. And also vegan friendly is more of a consumer demand. I think, once again, um, our consumers, a lot of them are asking, is this vegan friendly? They're not necessarily vegan themselves, but actually, once again, maybe it's the marketing from other brands that, vegan friendly becomes a badge that people kind of trust. So we tend to sort of go and meet our customers where they're at, what they're asking for. Um, the For example, these things, the reason why I'm saying that they should be given is that we recently launched in the Nordic market. And in some of these Nordic countries, you're not even allowed to put animal cruelty free on the pack because it is so given. It's a basic common sense that you shouldn't be testing animal testing, you shouldn't be doing animal testing. By putting that on pack, you're actually considered as false advertising and unfair advertising over other brands that don't advertise it because it's a given condition. So I think that is just another level up, right? So I think, but I think that is our fundamental red line. That's the bottom line for us. So when we launched in China, being our home country and everything, so when we launched in China, I think there's misconception that if you're launching China, if you're sold in China, then your animal, your products have to be tested on animals. That used to be the case, absolutely. When we launched it, it was still the case, but we launched online only. That's the only way to bypass animal testing. So we're selling across border online. We're not in any of the stores. But nowadays, since May 2023, they have changed the regulations. So certain products can now be imported without animal testing. So that's really good news for a lot of brands because the big conglomerates of the world, their products are sold in stores in China, and actually those products would have been subject to animal testing. So by doing this regulation change, hopefully that's going to change going forward.
So did my research. So according to your website, Shakeup Cosmetics is available in over 1,300 retailers, and you're selling one product every 5 minutes somewhere around the world, which is impressive, right? So what's next for you guys?
Continue to grow. I mean, we have ambitious growth plan, and our team are so tight knit. We're a family, really. I mean, I know it sounds like a cliche, but we really are. Everyone is like really sort of working towards the same goal. We're very transparent as a company in terms of what our goals are, what we're hoping to get to. We also have the share scheme. So every member of our team are actually truly a physical owner of the business. They actually own share options in the business. So we're all working together towards the goal. We wanted to go wherever our customers are and in whatever territory in the country. Because I do think that this men's self-care and skincare trend is a global one. We're seeing that in Asia, we're seeing that in Europe, we're seeing that Australia, America, even Africa. So we just wanted to bring our products to the customers, no matter which country they are. For example, the last trade show that we were at, the one that I was mentioning earlier, we met so many different distributors coming from different countries, all corners of the earth, and and whether that's Bulgaria or whether that's actually sort of South Africa and Singapore, and they're all looking for something different. They're all saying the same thing, which is men's category is growing. In fact, has been growing at a faster pace than the women's cosmetic for the last 3 or 4 years now consecutively. So the rate is growing much faster than women's. So I do believe the demand is there and the brands are not catching up yet. So we need to actually sort of introduce our brands to as many people as possible.
It's interesting you mentioned about doing like a profit share model and like kind of transparency. What from your experience, like what does that bring to the table? Trying to be so transparent and trying to give people a profit share.
I think when people don't know about things, then that's where rumors and worries and seed of concerns are sown, right? I mean, you better be transparent, whether that's challenging times or whether that's your wins that we all celebrate together. I think our team will testify that we are actually very transparent and open about the challenges we have and also the opportunities that we face. The share options, it's not just sort of from a profit share perspective, it's actually truly stakeholding in the business.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's more about empowering our team to make sure that they are on this journey with us. Because honestly, we can't do this business without any of our member of our team. They all specialize in their area. and we can't lose any of them, and actually sort of make sure that they do own what they're working on, and they will share the rewards together as a collective. I think that's really important. And it's also really important to retain the talents as well, retain our team to make sure that they know that they have a skin in the game, and it's not just a conglomerate or a corporate that's just sort of exploiting people's workforce and don't care about you. We really do care. It's such a small team, we're 8 people, so we are working together towards this common goal. So it's no brainer really for us to make sure to allocate part of the company to be shared by our team. And once again, that's the same method that our investors were deploying in their previous business, and we saw how successful that can be. That really motivated their staff, their team to become the true ownership of the business. And it's just good business. It's just good concept for good business.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's. And do you think that's helped you retain great staff and improve culture?
Absolutely. I really do think so. And our team really do feel like this is their brand, and we empower them to think this is actually part of their and actually a lot of the team are actually founding members of the company. So and they're all sort of putting in 100%, like no one's really taking the mick or anything like that. And we have total trust in our team as well. We measure by output, not by input. We're not micromanaging, we're not doing all of that. And it really is like the results will speak for themselves. And
and it's the people that matter, isn't it? Because you can't do it, just you and your brother can't do that yourself. You need great people to run a great business. So
I mean, you surround yourself. I mean, when we hired, we actually sort of decided to sort of hire people that can do the things that we can't do, right? I mean, there's no point finding people just kind of offload some of the stuff they're already doing, and then you probably won't be able to let go of that 100%. Being a control freak, a lot of the people are, that ourselves included, that you ended up finding the doers that you don't have anyone strategic leading the certain parts of the business. So we liked the idea of actually when we're in the room that we're probably the dumbest people in that room. Everyone else is actually smarter, and then they know what they're doing, can trust them 100% to lead their own area of expertise in the business. And we steer the direction as a founder and sort of take everyone together. So I think having exactly what you said, Ellie, is just having that kind of expertise in the business, empowering them, trusting them to do what they do, and honestly, the people are everything, and the people are they make the business. Without them, we don't have a business really.
Yeah, I think what you just said there about being the dumbest person in the room, I think that is, as silly as it sounds, I think that's a really great way to try and build your team. Try and become the dumbest person. I think it really does help, and I think it helps build the right culture as well, because people aren't looking to you to give all the answers.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I didn't come up with that. I mean, a lot of the quotes.
There is a famous quote. Yes, I can't remember who it is.
Exactly, I didn't come up with that. I can't take credit for it. I mean, to be honest, a lot of the things that I quote are actually coming from like inspirations and podcasts and books that I've read. But I think they really, really are helpful. And actually, sometimes if you just incorporate that into your own thinking ethos, it really is helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So we have like a closing tradition or a closing question we like to ask our guests. Okay. And I guess the question is, it's where do you see the world in 10 years, and how will you be part of that? How will Shakeup Cosmetics be part of that?
Oh, okay. That's a big question, actually. World peace? I mean, especially in this current climate, I mean, it can't be truer than that. I just kind of want everyone just to get along. I mean, we're just all deep down, we're all just kind of struggling in our own way, aren't we? I mean, there are always challenges, and you have the highs, you have the lows, but really, when it comes down to life, it's just it's the fabric itself has got happiness and sadness and depressions and all into one, and it would just have so much going on in our lives. And having like a peaceful time, just making sure that actually nothing major disruptive is happening to businesses, to personal life, that will be a fantastic result, really, if we actually sort of achieve that. I think in 10 years time, from the category that we are in, we obviously the obvious one is for us to see a more accepting world, more tolerance towards everybody who respect everyone's choices, whether that's beauty choices or lifestyle choices or sexuality, sexual orientation, all of that sort of stuff. There's still a lot of room for improvement. I'd like to see that, and I hope actually in 10 years' time that should be the case, really, right? I mean, if you just look at how much we have actually sort of progressed in the last 10 years. Hopefully, it will be a completely unrecognizable and hopefully a different environment for brands like us or for people like ourselves and for the kind of minority groups that currently are being discriminated against. So that will be lovely. Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully business thriving. We don't know where we are at that point, and hopefully the team are still with us. I mean, if we're still, doing great things, and who knows? But I think the overall stability for everyone will be my biggest wish, I guess, for everyone. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Great answer. I love your optimism.
Yeah.
I'm
You
looking
have to
forward
be.
to, yeah.
You have to be. The law of attraction means there have to be, right? I mean, that's another quote, obviously, that we're trying to live by, is that
Yeah.
try not to be negative because negativity attracts more negativity. Just always kind of stay on the positive side. I know it's easier said than done. Sometimes you get bogged down by all of this kind of pressures and worries and stress, and it's really hard to get out of. It is. But you really have to have to consciously try to self-regulate yourself. Go for a walk or something. Just protect yourself, I suppose.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I
It's a
agree with that.
great
I feel
note
like
to
you've
finish
mastered
on.
that. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today. I think it was a great chat, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys move forward as well over the next couple of years.
Thank you very
It's
much,
like a
and
really exciting
congratulations
brand.
to the stuff that you guys do as well. Keep up the good work, and yeah, congrats, and really really nice to talk to you, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We hope it was truly
Worth your while.
For more information, visit reuserbox.co.uk/earthyourwhile.
And if you'd like to appear on the next series of Earth Your While, please email media@reuserbox.co.uk.